It's time to start Dishin Days with your hosts Tony Moore, Michael Mattis, Justin Lee Hareld, and Araceli Aviles. And now, let's dish.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the last episode of Dishin Days for 2025. I am your host, Araceli Aviles, and I am joined by my favorite chocolate twin. Not favorite chocolate twin, but my other. Tony messes me up on this. I am joined by Justin Hareld.
Hey, hi.
See, I try to be Tony. I try to repeat what he says, and then I get lost. So before we start this last show, please follow us on social media. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook, at Dishin Days on Instagram, and Dishin Days on Twitter and Threads. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching here, I would love the follow. We would love the follow. Please make sure to listen to us wherever you get your podcasts as well. We are on Apple Podcasts. I believe Spotify and Google Podcasts is no longer a thing, but we are on iHeartRadio. And make sure that you like us everywhere, follow us on social media. Make sure that you are subscribed to join our exclusive members only page. We are working on stuff for the new year right now. So please, if you aren't a member, please join our exclusive members only page. It's $4.99 a month. We will be back in the new year with some goodies. And of course, please remember to follow our other favorite co-host, Mr. James Law Jr. over on JLJ Media on YouTube. And I have to be Tony today, so I have to remember my jokes because James Law Jr. is the only person who was friends with Grandma the Tortoise, who just passed at over 100, almost 150 years old. James posted that he was friends with her.
Of course.
Yes. See, at least I had receipts this time.
Yes, you had a joke.
Yes. And throughout the show, please tell us your thoughts. We are just two here today, so we would love the input from our audience. Please follow along as we discuss this week's storylines and let us know what you thought about this week's episodes of Days of Our Lives.
Yeah.
Yes. So for the last week that we are going to be covering for the show, Mr. Justin Lee Hareld, what did you think?
This week was good. I actually liked it. I think we got not a lot of different plot lines happened, but I feel like one major one was sort of converging and mixing up with sort of everyone and bringing everyone into it. And then there was one that was like, okay, we didn't get much movement there, a little bit. And then, there was sort of like a mid storyline that we got a little bit of more info on, but it was primarily like the Dimera stuff kind of ruled this week. So, which I actually liked. I actually like this plot line. I think it's interesting. I think it's ever changing. Even last week when we talked about who we thought it was or who it might be, and then my opinion definitely is already changed though. So
yeah, I was thinking about what you said last week as I was trying to concisely put together in my mind this week's shows, and I was like, I wonder if Justin changed his mind about some things. Yeah, I definitely have made no secret that I really, really love how these storylines are converging, and to me it's we have like 3 different major stories going into the new year. I think that are going to, not necessarily converge, but they're going to layer each other very nicely. So I'm really excited about, we're definitely going to have a lot to talk about in the new year.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think our first show back is going to be pretty jam-packed trying to talk about, everything that happened. But before we go into 2026, let's close out 2025. It is now time to start Dishin
Dishin
Days.
Days. You can do the countdown, so I was like,
Nah, it's just two of us. I don't know if we're gonna do
yeah.
any better than that.
We still couldn't get it right. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to pre-record it for the new year. That should
Honestly,
be goal number
yeah.
one.
I'm with you on that. That's our goal.
All right. The first storyline, which is the case of the missing Dimeras. And so that was pretty much the main storyline for this week. Where'd all the Dimeras go? Nobody knows. And the Dimeras who are in the know don't know anything more than anybody else.
This one, this is the one that I think brought most of the cast together and was weaving in a bunch of different people here. We broke it down. I guess we'll do it just by segments, but maybe talk about Tony, Kristen, Chad, and Theo first, sort of what was going on in the crypt mausoleum first, I guess.
Yes, let's start with the people, the Dimeras who are actually gone, the Dimeras that are actually in the crypt. So it's nice to see all the Dimeras together. I would prefer them in the same house instead of with all of the dead people. And this week, not only are they together, they discovered the bones of some unknown dead person. It was determined by Theo that it is the bones of some unknown man.
This was weird. I didn't really understand. Like, I was a little bit confused. So they're digging under the mausoleum or under the crypt, and they find I don't know. It's a little strange that because it's like there's just bones there, but also like you're also in a mausoleum. Like, are we digging in someone's grave? Are we like, you know what I mean? Was it a bag of bones that was there? Like, I don't know. I was just really confused about this. I felt like it was a little it wasn't very clear sort of what was going on there.
Yeah, so the way that I picture this is that, mausoleums, they're not typically a part of the architecture of the home. They have to be built on top of the grounds, right? So the way I understand this is that they put the mausoleum on top of the grounds. Maybe the underneath structure was just dirt. Maybe it wasn't well structured or whatever. And Kristen, with her whatever bare hands, was pulling at brick and whatever, and eventually they hit something.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I'm not an architect. I don't know. We're just supposed to go with this.
But I'm also like, well, whose bones would we care about though? Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of people saying it's Stefano's bones. Well, we already know he's dead. So like, I guess you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to understand why finding someone's bones would be a thing unless there's supposed to be bones of someone who's alive. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so if there's Stefano's bones, okay, we found Stefano's bones. We knew Stefano was dead. Like, are they suggesting there's like some foul play? I'm trying to understand the point of it, I guess. Other than just we found some bones. And then I think at one point Chad thought they were Abigail. And I was like, why would you think it was Abigail's? Like, this whole part of this storyline I wasn't really connecting with it, I guess. I didn't.
Okay, so let me break this down for our viewers who need a tiny little history lesson on a few things. Okay, so in terms of why Chad thought the bones were Abigail's, it's because Abigail is not in her grave. So for those who are confused about that, wherever her body is, or if she's alive, whatever, basically she's nowhere to be found. So there's always the assumption that her bones could be any place. So that was why Chad jumped to that assumption. Now, in terms of the Stefano theory, I actually have to agree very, very strongly about this. And if somebody is up to date on this more than I am, please jump in the comments and clarify some things for me. But as I remember it, as I understand this storyline, So Joseph Mascalo passed away in, I believe, 2016. His character, Stefano Dimera, last appeared the year prior. This was pretty much around the time that Billy Flynn started in the role of Chad. Okay. So now we have, at that time, it was the 50th anniversary of Days of Our Lives, and recall that there was a big storyline where Hope thought that Stefano was responsible for Beau's death at the time. She comes into the house, she shoots him dead. Rafe helps her cover it up. Subsequent months go by, she goes to prison. There's a whole prison storyline with her in there and such. I vaguely remember Chad confronting Hope at some point. And then Stefano appears to and that sort of exonerates Hope from his death. However, if you were paying attention, that was not actually Stefano. It was Shane and Steve pretending to be Stefano, working together in order to free Hope. And again, if I'm remembering correctly, some words were said vaguely along the lines of, "She can never know."
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to understand. Like I knew Abigail's body wasn't there. I personally think Abigail's still alive. I'm not understand. I just didn't understand, even from Chad's point, the connection between these are my wife's bones. I'm also not. I'm trying to understand the connective tissue of why we would care that someone's who is already dead bones would turn up underneath the crypt. You know what I'm saying? That's a part that's not making. Again, maybe there's a lot more to the story, of course. I'm just not connecting with that part of it.
So if my theory holds true, then what ended up happening was that Stefano was never alive. Hope was actually the one who killed him. And when Rafe and Steve and Shane freed Hope to cover it up, they just kind of threw Stefano's remains in the family crypt, hoping that no one would notice.
Okay.
This is where I think is going, because there was a lot of speculation in years after that, Stefano was out hiding somewhere, but I think that Rolf kind of disputed that after a certain amount of time, saying I would have heard from him by now. His children, after 2015, none of his children ever heard from him again.
Yeah, I mean, were people clamoring for like a button at the end of Stefano's death story? Like, I'm trying to.
I don't necessarily think that they were clamoring for it. I think that everyone, at least the characters, had all assumed that Stefano was pretty much dead at this point. Even though they never got a full confirmation. The only people who would really need confirmation of that would be his actual family. However, if the bones in the crypt are actually Stefano's, what by the way that they found them, they were just thrown there. They weren't interned. Nothing was interned. There was no actual grave marker. There was no casket. They were just kind of thrown there. Yeah. So and so I think that brings up would bring up a whole lot of questions for the Dimera family, because they would not just assume that Dad just went and croaked in the crypt and they never found his bones. That's not possible.
Okay, I'm just gonna go with it. It makes no sense to me. Like, it's not like they thought he was alive and they're finding his bones. That would be surprising.
No.
It's not. Know he's dead.
It's not that Stefano is dead. Yeah, no, but it's not that Stefano is dead part of it that is a big deal. It's how the hell did Stefano's remains end up in the crypt part? That's the big deal. And if my remembering holds true, if my memory holds correct, it would be a big deal, because then it starts the investigation of who killed Stefano Dimera.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. I can't.
And we go back and we go back 10 years to find out that no, when Hope shot him, she actually killed him.
Okay. Got it.
The problem, no, I get where you're confused.
I'm understanding. I'm not confused about what the pieces are. I'm confused about what the point of the story is. I guess we're revisiting Hope killing Stefano 10 years ago so that
I think it's
Kristen find out who killed Stefano.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think it's to put an actual period button on Stefano Dimera is dead. The Phoenix is not rising. He's not coming back. Not his essence, not brainwashed, nothing. He's not coming back. I think that's put a pin in that.
Got it. Okay.
Put a period on that. I think that's part one of it. And I think part two is to serve as a resurgence for the Dimera family come the new year, to kind of like say that after Stefano died, they were all kind of floundering. And it's true. They were all kind of floundering, like the between the company and their relationship as siblings. Now you have this situation in the crypt where almost all of a large majority of the Dimeras are going to be in that crypt. And it's the idea that we were hitting on last year with the Kyriakis family after Victor died, of this family needs to come together. Well, the Dimera, it's been 10 years since anyone last heard or saw of Stefano Dimera, and the Dimera family's kind of fallen apart. They've kind of have no center. And I think that that's the point of this storyline, is to bring them all together. And especially if they're going to put a period on Stefano's not coming back, we need to really band together as a family. I think you're going to see the resurgence of the Dimeras come 2026.
Okay. All right. I'll go with it. Okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah. That makes more sense than just finding a dead person's bones who you already believe to be dead. I guess that makes a little more sense.
No, it's not random.
For me, that was like the least interesting part. I just enjoyed having those four Dimeras together. I think it's very rare that we get them. We get these Dimera scenes together, but it's rare it's all four of them. A lot of times, again, Tony's been on canvas for a little while now. So we see him in and out. We see a lot of Kristen and EJ, of course, a lot. We see a decent amount when Theo comes back of him and EJ. We never see a lot of him and Kristen. We never see all of them together like this. So I just like the fact that it was them together as siblings and nephew having this discussion. And even though they were sort of discussing a lot of it was discussing their history and Stefano and the way they were raised and why they think it's EJ and why they inherently distrust each other and all that kind of stuff. So that was my sort of like enjoyment of it.
And it serves a higher purpose, is what I'm saying, is that even though like the scenes of them just going back and forth on, just chatting as siblings, I think that all of it together, it serves a purpose. It serves a purpose of bringing the Dimeras really back together.
Yeah. I very much it's funny because when I originally last week when I said I think it's EJ, I was saying it for different reasons than they were saying it. I think they in an interesting way, which I didn't agree. They were like, EJ's trying to take us out, or EJ's trying to get rid of us for control of the company. I was thinking more EJ's doing this to sideline them for some reason, for various reasons. One, I thought Chad, it was for the custody agreement because of the way I felt like he was acting during it. At the actual trial when they went with the judge, he was very nonchalant about it. And it was very much, my client, my brother's missing. He's not here. So we need to postpone this. And then it got postponed. So I feel like I was like, oh, is that his way of like helping Chad in this case of I'm going to delay this a bit? I was thinking more, he was, like I said, he was just sort of sidelining them for various reasons, particularly because of what he has going on with the Horton Clinic and the lab and whoever is in that tube. That was my thinking, because we know who is kidnapping them, doesn't want to kill them, doesn't want to hurt them, is giving them food and water, is, putting them all together as opposed to keeping them separately. So that's originally what made me think this is EJ. And to be quite honest, I know we saw at the end of this week, we saw EJ kidnapped and put in there.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure it's still not him just because he's in there with them. I don't know if that definitively means he's not. I do have a new theory of who I might think it would be, and we could talk about that. But after you kind of give me, but bless you, bless you. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to highlight that my thinking of EJ was different than like he's trying to like harm them or get revenge on them or get control of the company. I didn't think that. I thought honestly he was like sidelining them. Let's get them out of the way, but let's keep them protected and close and safe while I handle my stuff so they don't interfere with that kind of a thing. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
I mean, I totally see why you would see that. The only reason I didn't agree with that is because I thought that having them immersed in their own companies, like having Chad fully focused on his kids and the newspaper and having Theo fully focused on the company and Tony, with them. And I feel like they had enough of distractions on their own that they were not really paying attention to what EJ was doing. So I didn't think that EJ necessarily needed to take that extra step.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So should we talk about who we think is actually?
Yeah, why not? Sure.
All right. Yeah. Okay. And people in the comments, please.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Yes. Just shout out who you think it is.
Yeah. Who do you guys think is the mastermind of these kidnappings? Who do you think, Araceli?
I'm going to go with a little bit left field here, but I'll explain why I think that it's Dimitri.
Okay.
Because we know from the promo that he's coming back. It was established recently that EJ and Gwen are the ones that took Dimitri and made him go bye-bye. And we know that EJ is now in the crypt. We have confirmation that Peter Blake is at some point going to be joining the party. So I'm trying to think in terms of, like you said, motive. This is not a person who wants to hurt all of them. This is somebody who wants them out of the way. Who has incentive to want them out of the way but another Dimera? And who has a particular axe to grind with the Dimeras? Would only be another Dimera. And unless it's completely out of left field and Stefan has found a way to escape his mama, which I doubt, I think Dimitri may have escaped from wherever EJ and Gwen had him stashed and is on his way back to seek revenge against the family.
That's a good one. I can see that. I actually think it's Peter.
You think it is Peter?
Yeah. I'm getting, if it's not EJ sort of faking this to as I said, I think it's Peter. I think this week, particularly too, when they were mentioning the Dimeras and they mentioned him and Chad made that snide comment of, well, first Theo was like, oh, I forgot about Peter innocently. And then Chad was like, everyone forgets about Peter. I was like, is that a little is that a little button of wink, wink, don't forget about Peter. He's, can be as dangerous as the rest of them. I think it's Peter because I think, if the goal is actually to not hurt them, which I don't think Peter has any reason to want to, but I also can see him having maybe some resentment toward them to maybe either how he's been treated recently or how he hasn't been included in the last 20 years, or I don't know. I see that as more of he's not hurting them. I can see that towards Kristen. Yeah, Kristen, Tony, and EJ. For Theo, he's never even met Theo, so I'm assuming that Theo is just collateral damage in terms of he's the new CEO. So he sort of has to come along with them as opposed to he's a target necessarily. I think it may be Peter just wanting to either teach them a lesson and also maybe make a power play for Dimera. I don't know.
I mean, the motives that we discussed, I think, could apply to both.
Yeah, I'm a little confused about Dimitri though. Why do you think he'd go after the rest of them though? Like
I
I
mean,
could see him
I'm
going
not
after
too
EJ.
I'm not too sure on the details, but I just think in terms of the suspect list, we've already established that there's no way it's not another Dimera. It would be
Mhm.
very unlikely. I mean, it still could be EJ, just maybe he faked his own, toss into the crypt.
Mhm.
There's lots of possibilities, but bottom line, it has to be a Dimera.
Yeah,
There's nobody else who cares enough to keep them alive, and cares enough to just keep them out of the way. This is not kidnapping for ransom. This is not kidnapping for death. This is a stall tactic.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
Somebody wants them out of the way for a particular amount of time for a particular reason. We just don't know what that reason is yet.
yeah. No, definitely. But I'm interested. I think I'm just relishing the scenes of them all together. I think is really great to have that. It's very rare we get to see them sort of interacting and really like confronting each other, their family mess, so to speak.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's like the aspect of it.
Yeah, there's going to be so much to like sink your teeth into, and that's why I'm
Mhm.
kind of like, I love the sibling interaction that you were talking about earlier, just that they did this week, because I feel like that's just going to catapult right into the next few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess some people some people are not feeling it or they're yeah.
No, I get why people might think that it might be boring right now, but I'm
Mhm.
thinking in terms of what comes out of the crypt. Okay, yes, everything that's going on in the crypt might be boring right now. They're probably they're bored out of their minds. They don't know what to do.
Mhm.
It's you have to think of what happens when they get out.
Yeah.
There's so many questions. There's
Mhm.
so much that's going to come out of that crypt.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely
Yeah.
intriguing so far. But yeah,
Yes.
we definitely had even more to this storyline with
Yeah, because now there are people that are actually looking for them, lead among them being Rafe and Jada and Kat, although everybody's kind of going about it in different ways. Um, do we agree with Kat's tactic to drug EJ?
I was okay with it. I was a little surprised. I get Rafe's point. I was a little surprised by how harsh he was being. I get his point, but I'm like, you also like part of me as a fan was like, okay, we need to move the storyline along. Like she's doing something. She's not sitting around waiting for like him to slip up, which it sort of seems like that's what everyone else has been doing. They're like
Mhm.
just waiting around for like evidence to fall in their lap. It's like at least she's going out and doing something. And yes, she's not a trained agent, but she's the best person to be there. I mean, who else is going to be able to get access to the Dimera mansion to get access to EJ? Like that's the point.
Yeah,
So I mean, I understood Ray's point, but I thought he was being really harsh on her, considering they don't really have anything else to go on.
I mean, they both had points. I mean, Kat finds herself in a very unique position of being able to use this unexpected connection with EJ in order to help Chad. So I totally get why her first instinct was to
Mhm.
go with it. And Rafe definitely was like, you could have seriously compromised the investigation. And from his perspective, yeah, she totally did.
Yeah,
But she's also right that he has blinders on a little bit,
yeah, totally.
considering EJ as the only suspect, instead of widening the pool. Um, like, not that he or Jada would necessarily have the resources to investigate all the other Dimeras, considering they don't know where like
Hmm.
there's the Dimeras in the crypto who they don't know where they are, and then there's the other Dimeras who they don't know where they are. So
Yeah,
I totally
exactly.
get, like, they really have nothing between the
Yeah,
Salem PD, between the FBI, between the SA. They really have nothing to
mm,
go on. So Kat kind of got as close as she could, although the evidence that she did find was actually unbeknownst to her, a part of a different storyline. It has absolutely nothing to do with the missing Dimeras and everything to do with whoever is in the tube in the clinic.
Yeah, it's sort of I kind of think I think both storylines are kind of connected. I just don't know how. But yeah, well, I mean, I guess yeah, like you said, that they're sort of bleeding into each other. I still love the interaction with Rafe and Kat, and I know we got the almost kiss this week with EJ and Kat. But I'm also kind of like I kind of like the Rafe and Kat dynamic a bit. I wouldn't mind if there was something there in the future. But
yeah, I like their dynamic as friends, because I feel like we haven't gotten Rafe with a partner in a really long time. And it was also nice to see him and Jada go back to that a little bit this week. I thought that was a nice callback, and it was nice to see them move on from their romantic relationship and really work together. Like I said, we need more good partnerships. We need more good friendships on the show. And so Rafe's partnership with both Jada and Kat, I think, has been really fruitful this season, this year, and it doesn't feel inauthentic. It's because the way that they have molded Kat into an ISA agent was surprising, but it also makes a lot of sense in the way that they did it.
Yeah, as much as I loved, like I just said, I loved their scenes with Kat and Rafe. I did when they put him and Jada back together for that brief scene this week. I was like, oh, I wish they put that back together. Honestly, I was at that point where I'm like, they both have sort of not been floundering per se. I think the Jada character more so. They haven't paid as much attention to her over the last few months as they should. Yeah. I think Rafe has gotten a little bit more attention with the family stuff and Tesoro and the Cat stuff and the FBI. They've given him more stuff to do, but in terms of romance, I was like, oh, they really were a great couple for who both of them are, and sort of being good characters. Sometimes that doesn't work, or sometimes for me personally, I don't always love when they put like two sort of quote unquote good characters together. Like, you get a little friction, but I thought that they made it work. I think that they have been each other's best pairing since the show. So I'm like, when they had that scene, I was like, oh, okay, I actually really want them to put them back together. So, I mean, we'll see. Who knows if that's going to happen in the future, or if they're going to choose to go other directions, maybe him with Kat or him with someone else, or her with Theo. We'll see. But those scenes were like, oh man, I wish that they were back together again.
Yeah, we'll see what the new year brings with that. And then in terms of, in terms of putting security on the rest of the Dimeras, the people who have the Dimera name, the Johnny part of this, I'm enjoying watching Johnny and Chanel kind of adjust to being new parents more than I thought I would. However, I do feel like, circumstances being what they are, Chanel is doing the most and kind of like not seeing, how do I phrase this? I think she's letting too much of her negativity blend into the situation, as is Johnny. Not that they don't have a right to their anger, but I feel like it's just a bit much.
I could not agree with you more this week. And I think I may have said this maybe a few weeks ago, where I was like, I don't like how they have her coming on so strong about EJ, when I feel like Johnny is at a tipping point where I feel like he wants to stay mad at EJ for everything he's done, but I also feel like he wants to forgive him. And I kind of feel like if Chanel were more open to it, or if she even said, this is up to you, I'm neutral on it, I feel like he would forgive his dad like that. It wouldn't be, he was not going to run over and jump in his arms, or move back into the mansion, but I feel like he really wants to forgive him. I'm 100% in agreement with you. I don't like how they're having her come on so strong. So now it's become she's sort of the leader in the hate and disgust and the anger on EJ. And it was like, at some point I get it. And yes, they keep mentioning the fact he did the AI thing with the trial, which I honestly sometimes forget that too, but it's not enough for me, it's not coming off as enough for her to be that angry. I feel like they should, if they're going to go that route, make Johnny the angrier person. Let her fall back a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I think they even sort of commented on it this week, even though it was coming from EJ, where he was talking to him about the CEO position. And again, Johnny was never going to take it. He was always going to say no. But to have her come in and be so brazen about it, and then EJ say, oh, you're letting your wife sort of take control, and then he's defending it. And it was like, as much as I don't want to admit, EJ did have a point. It was like, calm down a minute. So I'm not crazy about how they have her being the sort of force in this sort of antagonistic relationship. I kind of feel like let her fall back a little bit. Let Johnny be that angry. If you know what I mean? If you want them to actually be that angry, let him be that angry. Because then at some point he is gonna want to forgive his dad, and it's gonna cause, I feel like, an issue in their marriage. Because then he's gonna want to forgive, she's gonna be like, hell no, and it's gonna be this weird thing of, is she trying to influence him? Does he want to forgive his dad? Should he forgive his dad? Is she now the standing block in between him and his family? And it's like, I don't want that for them. I feel like this couple has gone through so much. Mm-hmm. I like that, again, we're not getting a stereotypical sort of interloper into their marriage. I like that they're giving them sort of quote unquote real world problems, or like newlywed problems. The stuff with the baby, they're adjusting to that. They're adjusting. These past couple of weeks, they've been talking a lot about their finances and their careers and their jobs and all kind of stuff. And again, it can be a little boring. Yeah, all good stuff and all relatable and real world stuff. I just think this part of it, I'm like, it's making me a little uneasy how hard she's going with it.
Yeah, I think where I land on this is that, I compare it to Chad and his relationship with the Dimeras and the Hortons, where he found a way to set boundaries with at least his Dimera side of the family, and found a way to be a Dimera, carry the name Dimera, and still chart his own path. And I feel like Johnny and Chanel and Abe as well, I think, are all like, no, the Dimera name is evil. Everything about the Dimera is evil. Everything about EJ is evil. And I'm like, okay, even if all that is true, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't change your DNA. It doesn't change your last name. Unless you want to change your last name and move across the country from these people, you're going to have to suck it up and just deal with what is. And what is that these people are your family. Or they're Theo's family, and they're Johnny's family, and yes, they're now Trey's family. You don't have to like it. And you don't have to accept them necessarily. But you don't have to be constantly antagonistic of the situation when there's nothing you can do to change it.
Yep, I agree. And I think that's what, and funny you just said that, because something just clicked in my head. Now I'm realizing that I think the reason I've had such an adverse reaction to Chanel this week was I feel like they're subtly drawing like parallels between her and Abe. And I have not been on the Abe train the last couple of weeks with the way he's been going about with Theo, and exactly what you just said. And we've been saying before, like, it's not, the Dimeras are his family. You're never going to change that. I know, as much as Abe may be angry about that, same way with like Chanel. Now we're saying like, this is his family. And again, her stuff doesn't extend to everyone else. Like, she's not saying stay away from all Dimeras, or it's really EJ specific, but it's also his dad. And that's a whole different level of, she's not telling him don't hang out with his, knucklehead cousin, you know what I mean, who he gets in trouble with. You're telling him to stay away from his father. So I don't know. I don't necessarily like the way they're going with those two characters, specifically Chanel and Abe. I think, Abe needs to, he has a whole nother set of problems, and the fact that he is working with EJ to now usurp Theo, but also complain. You know, I just have a weird thing with when people lament someone. Like, EJ's so bad, he's manipulative, like you said, they eat their young, but now you're okay to work with him and use him to do that to your son. So it's like you're perpetuating the thing you're telling your son to stay away from, which is weird. So, against him even now. So I don't know. I just don't want that to happen with Chanel. I just think they're almost at the edge there with her. It's like, let her calm down, let her chill a little bit, let her be the sounding board to Johnny, and make it more reciprocal as opposed to her being the one coming in with the fire and brimstone here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what circumstances bring up, and I feel like the circumstances of the situation, this ever evolving missing Dimeras, who's behind it. I feel, it's interesting that I think that's also going to affect their relationship, and maybe their relationship to EJ and their relationship with the family. You see how, like, this one storyline that kind of seems boring right now is going to have so many implications in a couple of weeks. I think it's all going to start to creep out a little bit, and it's really interesting. And that also lends into the next part of this storyline, which is that Leo is officially now hot on EJ and Gwen's trail. Has now figured out that Gwen is kind of EJ's partner. He doesn't know in what way. He doesn't know how necessarily how this got started. He doesn't know the details, but he knows that they're working together, having something to do with the clinic.
How did you think that came about? Like, were you on board with how he like put all that together?
I thought that actually did come about very organically, and I think that the reason that it worked is because Leo knows Gwen. People were saying like, "Oh, we're trying to make Leo like a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist." Now it's like, no, it's just that Leo knows Gwen. He knows when she's bluffing. He knows her inside and out. He knows when something's up. And the way that she's been working him the last couple of weeks, the way that, her reactions and the conversation that they had in the pub this week just tick something in him. It's like, I know my best friend or my whatever frenemy, that whatever they are now. Wow. He knows when she's lying.
Yeah, I got it more the second week when he first sort of put it together when he was talking with Javi, I think. And he was like, I think she's his partner. I was like, really? Like, that's what you got from it? And then later on, when he was sort of like, your explanation, I think makes more sense. That I think it leads more credence to that than the beginning part. I was a little like, how do you put that together? But sort of after knowing what he knows about Gwen and when he was sort of explaining it more, that made a little bit more sense to me. Yeah, it's this weird dynamic because she now is also kind of slightly trying to protect him because EJ now has made a threat against him, a credible threat that he wants to get rid of him.
Gwen is trying to figure this out as well because she's kind of trying to put out multiple fires where let's presume that EJ is innocent of the missing Dimeras. Well, she's now just as invested in that because it's now affecting her bottom line, as we saw. It's affecting what's going on. Whatever's going on with the Dimeras is now affecting what's going on in the house because Rolf is compromised now. Now their research is compromised, and then she knows that the more that the authorities dig into the Dimeras, the more likely that they're going to start looking much, much, much closer at what is going on in the lab. Yeah,
it's definitely,
Yeah. So it's like nobody knows what's going on in the lab, but the fact that Leo knows there's something going on with the lab, Rafe and Kat know that there's something going on with the lab. They just don't know how it all ties together. You see how everything is kind of weaving together, guys. I know this seems like three different storylines going on, and it kind of is, but see how everything is kind of slowly weaving together a little bit, where one is affecting the other.
Hmm. Yeah, then we had, of course, the Dr. Rolf. Well, we knew Dr. Rolf was around. We just
Yes.
didn't know that he was necessarily in the basement. Actually, that threw me off. I didn't even think of Rolf when Kat was taking the
Mm.
pictures and found the room and everything. I actually thought maybe the kidnapper is in the house and like was hiding out there. I didn't even think of Rolf because I guess I forgot that other people hadn't seen him yet. So I think that's where my brain went to. Oh, the person who was doing this is in the house, is, just kind of laying low, hidden. Where else? What better way to hide than sort of not in plain sight, but right underneath their noses, kind of thing. So it wasn't until Susan and then she ran into him or saw him and then made that connection. I was like, oh, he's coming from the tunnels. It's him down there. But I originally didn't think it was him.
Yes. Yeah. Look, everything from what I'm seeing, I promise you guys, everything is going to start tying together. Again, having no foreknowledge, having no knowledge of, no spoilers. I'm seeing the writing on the wall of all of these storylines really coming together in a way. And it would be funny if at the end of this, Susan is the one to crack it.
I
Because
wouldn't be
look at
surprised. Yeah.
because she's already getting this inky feeling from Kat, which she's
Mhm.
spot on about.
Yep, she's dead right.
She's spot on about. She has been saying for months that she has felt Stefano's presence at the Dimera estate.
Mhm.
So I'm going to trust her gut on that as it pertains to those bones in the
Oh,
crypt.
yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, because when she started saying, I feel Stefano, he's here. I'm like, exactly what are you feeling?
Yeah.
I really feel like that's where this is going.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't think it's an accident that she saw Rolf there. She's not going to say anything because she
Yeah.
is loyal to EJ, but she now knows something's up.
Yeah.
Rolf is not in town for no reason.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. I think it's all connected, and the stuff with the tube and the person who's kidnapping them, who we don't know yet, but yeah, I think it's definitely all connected. One part I don't love, which has been happening lately, which kind of messes up my the EJ is how he so quickly turns on Gwen. I'm like, it's classic EJ, but I think there's been something I've been liking about the EJ and Gwen dynamic. The fact that it's not romantic, that it's them two sort of schemers coming together. And so I don't know. I just always, whenever he gets like high on his horse and pulls the like, I'm EJ Dimera, I can have you killed, or starts barking out orders or whatever, I'm just kind of like, okay, you probably need her more than she needs you. We'll see. But again,
Yeah. True.
we also don't know still a lot of their partnership. We know that she is obviously funding the hospital stuff, which again, we know now is a means to an end to whatever is going on in that lab. And we do know now it's the Versavix plus Dr. Rolf's serum. So we know that's the essence of whatever experiments they're doing. They've talked about dead rats and animals, and supposedly there's now an easy, I guess basically how I took it is Ralph is trying to perfect his serum by adding Versavix to it, and that's a way for him to enhance his serum to bring people back from the dead in even either better way or a quicker way or what have you. So we did get that info. But with Gwen, it's like, is it just money then? Or is there something else? Or was it the trade-off of, you help me get rid of Dimitri and I'll invest in your venture? Like, I'm still trying to understand the dynamics of this partnership, and they haven't told us yet. All we know is that she's invested in it. They're partners. She knows what's going on in the lab, but what is she exactly getting out of this?
Well, she said that she was promised a windfall if his experiments are successful and they can market it.
So it's just money for her, which is fine. Yeah. I just didn't know. again, the stuff with the tube and who's in the tube and
yeah. And I think that getting rid of Dimitri, that was just a little stepping stone that they needed to do in order for Gwen to get her hands on his money.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The small part of this storyline that I didn't like, that just felt like, why are you doing this, was Javi constantly accusing Gabby of these kidnappings. I'm like, what are you doing?
I immediately got mad at the TV when he came home and immediately snitched on Gabby. I was like, wait, what? I was like, did I miss something? He immediately just like completely snitched on her without really provocation. They were like, Rafe just like, you know what I mean? Rafe was just like fishing for stuff, but he wasn't really thinking Javi knew anything. Why would Javi know anything? So I don't know. That was a really weird turn. I guess, I don't know. I'm assuming it was just a means to an end to get Gabby more into this, or to get Rafe, to get Gabby in the mix, I guess, or to get her.
Gabby doesn't need to be into this.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't understand. Like, it just seemed weird very out of character for him to just snitch on her.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Gabby is not in this. She is so far removed from this at this point. She has like her means, her motive, like, is like this much compared to so many other people. All of them with the last, almost all of them with the last name Dimera.
Yeah. Now, I will say, if it was just Tony and it continued to just be a Tony storyline, I may not think Gabby's involved, but at least I would understand her inclusion, or maybe I would think maybe she had something to do with it, kind of a thing. But once Gabby has no use for Kristen. She would not kidnap Chad. She gets along great with Theo. Like, this is for them to even think it was like, if it just stayed a Tony thing, I'd be like, okay, I could either see them thinking it was her, or I can even see her being like that pissed to be like, I'm not gonna hurt you or harm you, but I'm gonna teach you a lesson not to mess with me,
Yeah, it made sense the first time that Javi accused her, when it was just Tony. It does not make any sense now. And also, dude, you're just such a little snitch.
I know, that was really surprising. And then he got out of there and was like, I'm gonna go. And I was like, oh, you're not even like gonna admit
so you're a snitch and a coward.
Yeah.
This girl is going out of her way to help design a wedding band for your fiance, who she admits she doesn't really like. She mostly just tolerates.
Yeah, right.
And yet she's doing all this work for your wedding, and you're accusing her of several different felonies. Nice.
Yeah. That part was very surprising to me. See, I thought and again, if it was just to get Gabby more involved, I feel like they could have found a better way of doing it, more so than having him come out and say it. Maybe he was looking at something, or maybe he overheard them. Rafe overheard them. It was like, put pressure on Javi, but he literally was like, you look like you know something, not actually thinking Javi was going to say, your sister might be a suspect here. I mean, yeah. That was surprising.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, this main story... yeah. Well, this main storyline, I think, is what's going to kind of propel us into the new year. So we'll touch back on this when we come back. I think we're going to have a lot to unpack.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
When we return with this particular storyline. But until then, next up, we have the Bayview breakout, where a cuckoo Rachel meets a cuckoo Sophia, and this is not good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's delicious to watch.
No, it's great to watch. Yeah,
and it's so interesting that you can see it. You can see the way that Sophia is manipulating Rachel. Like, the tables have turned, where Rachel is usually like the one that's, chooses her language very carefully, and like how she how she says things and how she's like, you know, she
Yeah.
manipulates people to get her way. But now you see how Sophia is working Rachel, and I'm like, this is so bad, but I'm kind of really digging it.
Yeah. One thing I do like is that Rachel is buying into it, but I also feel like she's also questioning Sophia. It's not like she's completely like clueless or under her spell. I feel like she still is she's still a little bit reticent about her. I think the late night burger run kind of helped cement her with Sophia, but I think even a little bit before that, she was still kind of like, why are you asking these questions, or what do you want to know, or kind of a thing. So I think Rachel is sort of cautiously optimistic. I think she definitely is going along with Sophia and is falling for her, but yeah, it's not, I feel like it's not as easy as maybe Sophia might have thought, as easy to manipulate a another 10-year-old child, we'll say.
But Sophia is smart in the way that she's doing it. She's appealing to every insecurity that Rachel has, every need that Rachel has right now. She's making herself indispensable to Rachel right now. She's doing it in a really smart and scary way that is like, and you could tell that the Buddy's Burger thing was a twofold mission, where it was one, to gain Rachel's trust, and two, to kind of test out the security of Bayview, because she looks like she's been on this train for a while now, trying to figure out how to get out of Bayview.
I do wonder, what do you think is not the point of all this, but where do you think this is going?
Revenge.
From Sophia to...
For Sophia, I think this is revenge. I think that Sophia has snapped completely, and I think she is 100% trying to lull all of the people outside in Salem into a false sense of security, and then she's going to go on a revenge tour for all of the people that she thinks wronged her.
Okay, I could see that. I'm wondering if Rachel, because I feel like she very early on latched on to Rachel, so I'm wondering if Sophia is planning that Rachel is her key out of here in a way, or because she's making it a concerted point to like attach herself to Rachel. So is it going to be one of those, Rachel's release is tied to her release, or they're her being so close to Rachel and helping her through this process is going to make an impression on the family, and they're going to help her I don't know. I'm wondering where this is going, other than these two sort of complicated characters in Bayview together. Like, what is Sophia's goal here? I'm wondering, but
I mean, Sophia's goal to me is very clear. But what effects this is going to have on Rachel, I think, is a little more complicated, because one, Rachel just got there. Yeah. And two, there's so many other things that, so many other circumstances that I think affect Rachel's stay in Bayview, all the way down to, Kristen's disappearance, and, they can't exonerate Kristen without having Kristen, and then they can't put whatever Rachel through whatever steps through the juvenile judicial system. There's a lot of things going on outside that may affect Rachel's case overall, and then now add in the fact that she is being manipulated by another patient. We don't know how that is going to affect her mentally, in addition to trying to come to terms with the knowledge that her mom knew that she was the shooter. There's so much going on mentally, unfortunately, right now with Rachel that is not going to, I don't think is going to get resolved. So like this storyline, I think, unfortunately, at least the Rachel part of it, I don't think is going to get resolved but by the new year. I think Rachel is going to still be in Bayview for a while to come.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious too. Not just Sophia's solo mission, but how this involves Rachel. Why is she involving Rachel? Why is she trying to manipulate Rachel? What is the plan, or how does Rachel fit into Sophia's plan? I also think it's interesting that this week they busted out to get the burgers, but there was no talk of escaping, which is weird. There was no let's bust out of here and go on the run together. There was none of that. It was literally, I can sneak out, get burgers. Well, if you can sneak out for burgers, you can sneak out and run away. You're 18 years old. I mean, yeah, your mother may try and find you, or maybe an APB out for you, but I thought that was interesting that the goal wasn't to get the hell out of here or to run away. It was she's definitely playing a long game here. I'm curious to see what it is in the new year. I'm again enjoying these scenes with her and Rachel, but I'd like a little insight into what Sophia's plan is.
Yeah, it's getting scary. I will say that this is getting scary. And then in terms of people on the outside, their kind of reactions to Rachel's stay in Bayview. Brady is having a hard time. He told Tate that, he's moving out of Marlena's. He's moving into the Kyriakis mansion, and letting Tate kind of decide for himself. I did think it was a good thing that he didn't tell Tate the particulars, because I don't think that Tate needs to know that.
I did like that part. The part I thought was a little much was he didn't ask Tate to come with them, but he sort of, I don't know, to me he sort of like underhandedly manipulated Tate to come with him. And part of me was like, is that like a dig at Marlena, or is that, do you know what I mean? I think there's something, not intentionally, but I think unintentionally, for him to say like, oh, I'm going to move into the Kyriakis mansion. And then Tate was like, oh, well, Tate, I felt like wasn't really offering, but he was just kind of like, do you want me to come with you? And then Brady was like, oh, I would love it if you were there. At least I'd have one of my kids with me. And I was like, okay, that's a little bit of a guilt trip there. So
it
I was
is,
like,
100%.
he obviously is now going to say, now he's going to go with his dad because, and no offense to Marlena, he still, again, doesn't know what Marlena did. But so he's going to move in now. And then now I guess Bella's still there with Marlena and she's in the hospital. I know, I guess it's not as punctuated because Marlena is still in the hospital, but I don't know. I was kind of like, that was a little, I don't know. It was a little unconscious or unintentional manipulation there by Brady to get Tate to go with him too. I don't know.
Yeah, I do. I think that's just Brady feeling sorry for himself.
Yeah.
But I do think that Tate needs to stay out of this. I think he can be a good sibling to Rachel, but other than that, the time has long passed for Tate to stay out of things that he has no business being involved in. Granted, the last year it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
But going forward, like, if he is not in it, he doesn't need to be in it.
Yeah. You've got a lot going on.
Yeah. He needs to be focused. He's literally failed his first semester of college.
Okay.
So that needs to be his priority.
I have to ask, I don't understand the storyline. This storyline is so odd to me. It's not odd that like he's having trouble in everything he went through this year. That part is actually makes sense, and very often shows don't even acknowledge how all of this drama will affect like work or school or things. So I sometimes like when they do that, which is nice. But the whole like, I'm not going to tell Holly, I'm going to keep it a secret. Like, this is so odd to me. They're in college. It's him studying. He has a girlfriend who apparently is brilliant. Like, this weird, like, it just seems like a really weird obstacle to put in front of them, especially after they've gone through all the Sophia stuff. It seems like they're trying to be like, we need Tate and Holly can't be happy for 2 seconds. What else can we do? And it's like, we've already given you the baby mama, we've given you the kid, we've given you the adoption. Let's give him bad grades. It's like, what? Bad grades?
I'll tell you my theory. I think it's a very organic option, a very organic obstacle, because it kind of accentuates that they are very different. That they're very different people. They have very different priorities, and they're very different in the way that they handle conflict and problems. And I think and to me, that makes me very happy because I have been off of the Holly and Tate train for a very long time. And so to me, this is just a very organic way of dividing them, because it's just kind of telling that point of like they see themselves as this great couple that made it against the odds and made it against the terrible manipulations of Sophia and blah blah blah. And so when you're in that mentality of, oh, we're the couple that conquers all kind of a thing, but then you can't handle day-to-day life, that's a big neon sign of you two don't actually work.
Yeah, it's just a bit clunky for me. Like everything they've been to, and you're telling me Tate can't turn to Holly and be like, "Oh, this year really sucked. I'm doing really bad. I just need some time to study, or can you help me study, Miss, salutatorian?" Like, I don't know. It seems like a weird obstacle to put them. Then like, Ari is like kind of helping him cover it up that he's failing to his girlfriend who's great at school and could help him, but like I don't know, it's so odd to me. And then not even that, just the fact that now going back to the Brady and stuff, like him moving in. So you're gonna move in with your girlfriend now because she's going to Paris, but that is her primary residence outside of school is the Kyriakis mansion, and not that Tate doesn't have a right, like he has every right to live there as much as Holly does. Considering their familial connections and all that, but it just seemed weird that wasn't a thought, even when Brady was sort of kind of hinting at it, or even Tate was thinking about it. I was like, you do know your girlfriend lives there, the one who, you're perpetually on shaky ground with. I'm like, that wouldn't be I don't know. Stuff like that is not appealing to me. Like I'm not into like living with people into, you know what I mean? Until you really want to live with somebody, like that stuff of like, give me my space. I don't want you in my face 24/7. I don't know. It just seems so funny that like it didn't phase either one of them.
Well, at the very least, it's very in character for father and son to make atrociously bad decisions. Especially when it comes to their love lives. Because Tate is just letting everything fall to the wayside in favor of Holly. Nothing new there. Brady seems to be now on track to get involved with yet another friend who should stay a friend. Like we did this already. We've done this with Brady multiple times. We did this already. Most famously, I think, with Melanie, when I was like, oh my God, please don't do this again.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of this coupledom. I really like them as friends. I'm not crazy about, and not that I'm not crazy about either one of them getting with someone else. I think that's totally fine. I just, them two together, it's just a little too much complication. And that's regardless of if her and Xander are endgame. I'm not even thinking of Xander in this point. I'm just these two together, like I kind of like them as like confidant best friends, like, you know what I mean? Like keep them as that. I think they work as that, but the romance thing is just so complicated. At some point, I just want someone to be like, you know what? This is a little too complicated. Let's not, like, let's stay friends, or I don't know. I feel like we never get that. No one ever stops and is like, this may be too much for even us. Like, we got too much in common. This is too dramatic in and of itself. So maybe not go there.
Well, it's just, Look, I get it. Eric Martsev is pretty, but I don't need to see him in more shirtless scenes with women he has no chemistry with. If you find someone he actually has chemistry with, I'll be all on board. Okay. I will clap. I will repeat the episode over and over again. But other than that, please just don't.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm not on board for Sarah Brady romance. Like, leave them as friends. I think they work together as friends and confidants, but yeah. Also, like like you sort of the meet cute they were doing in the house. Just I didn't. It was like I feel like that was like that was Brady 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like him living at
Also,
Paris Mansion, him flirting with Nicole or flirting with Chloe, or you know what I mean? Like it didn't fit for two 40-something-year-olds at you know what I mean?
no.
It was like it was a little young, I think, for them.
Yeah, no, you know what it is?
Mhm.
Exactly how Xander and Sarah's meet cute went. That's
Was
what
it?
it was.
Huh.
It's like,
Yeah, we have to elevate
look,
if we're gonna.
look. I get that there's a rinse repeat cycle on soaps, but can we rinse and repeat with people who actually have chemistry?
Yeah, we'll see we'll see where this goes, if it goes, how long it goes. I'd be curious, especially with yeah. Actually, did I forget to sorry, just looking at the sorry, I forgot to put sort of we could probably tack this on here.
Yes,
Xander and Marlena as part of this because I didn't put it. I forgot about them too. His sort of reaction and his sort of quasi therapy session, even though he went to visit Marlena and see how she was, it turned into yet another therapy session for them.
Yeah, I really think that showed the growth that Xander had, where he was completely honest in saying that everything about this makes me uncomfortable. You know, it makes me really uncomfortable that Brady and Sarah are so close. It makes me really uncomfortable that Brady was the one that had to convince me. I'm not, I'm heartbroken. This is going to be a terrible Christmas. Like to me, it was honest without being over the top.
Yeah.
And showed real growth.
Yeah, especially about the stuff just with Sarah and signing the divorce papers, and he was sort of catching Marlena up about what had transpired the last couple of weeks, and the stuff about Victoria, which I still am like, I don't know. I have this thing with custody and the way people play with custody and soap operas, but whatever. Now he's given up custody, so he's not seeing his daughter, but he's not like raging about that. He's sort of accepted. I guess in his mind, he's thinking, I'm going to become this better guy, then I'll have full access to my daughter. I don't know. That part of it is kind of hand waved or breezed over a bit, where I'm like,
yeah, that part I actually don't agree with. I actually really think he should have fought for at least through visitation. That is the minimum. Like he would have been granted visitation, no question. I think he's just so down on himself, and I don't agree with that decision. But I do think that is growth. That is growth, and further proof that this version of Sarah, at least, should not be with Xander right now. While Xander is actively in therapy and working on himself and working on his anger issues, I think that Sarah also needs therapy, also needs to kind of dissect like the whole her part in the ending of their marriage is like, Xander had all of these issues and stuff, but you married him twice. You have to take responsibility for those decisions.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, we got some growth there, which was nice to get a little bit of movement there, at least with those two. Yeah. But we'll see we'll see next week, I guess. He doesn't know Brady. Well, no, he didn't. He doesn't know Brady's living at the mansion because Marlene.
No, not yet. No.
Marlene doesn't even know he's moving out. Yeah, that's right. So that'll be a surprise for both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah. This is one storyline I'm actually I have no interest. This triangle or whatever. I'm just like, nope, don't need it.
Yeah. I'm more on the Xander reaction. That's my interest more than maybe the Brady Sarah getting together kind of part of it. Yeah.
And then on to our last storyline, which is also kicking up, well, not dust, but whatever was in that envelope at the end of the week. because Stephanie is getting a lot of fan mail, and it is not appropriate, and it is not warranted, and it is not appreciated. It is very creepy. It is showing a stalkerish pattern of behavior, and we now see that she does indeed have a stalker, and Alex and Steve are 100% right to be worried.
Yeah, totally. And that substance at the end, I'm like, okay, are we getting like a weird biochemical storyline next week, or was it just, a fake out? Or is it just baby powder? I don't know. I guess and it was addressed to Alex too, which I don't know if but when I first saw it, I rewound it a couple of times. I wanted to make sure it wasn't just addressed to, because at first I was like, is he opening her mail because he recognized the handwriting? First I thought that, and then I had to rewind a couple of times to make sure I saw that it said Alex Kyriakis. So,
well, it could also be that. It could be that he knew that it was addressed to him and that he recognized the handwriting. We'll see.
Yeah. I just for a second there, I thought maybe he it was addressed to her and he picked it up thinking, oh, it's from the stalker. Let me get rid of it so she doesn't see it. But then when I went back, I was like, oh, it's actually just to him. Which is funny because I think I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was we were talking about someone after Alex, and it was like, all these things are happening to Alex. They're not happening to Stephanie. And so and then it sort of introduced this fan mail stuff. So I'm like, okay, these things are now connected. We're seeing who, I'm assuming this is the same stalker who had the knife at the Halloween festival, and whoever this guy is. I'm sure I have my thoughts. Do we want to get into who we think it is?
I think we know who it is.
Yeah, we're assuming
kind of,
Owen, right?
Yeah, that winter promo kind of spoiled it a little bit.
I know. I wish they had kept that part a little, because I completely forgot about Owen, and we're talking about Owen. Is it Owen Gray or Owen Kent? I think is the character Wes Bentley played back in the day.
Wes Ramsey,
Wes Ramsey, sorry. Yeah. Wes Bentley, God. Can you imagine? Yeah. They got Wes Bentley to come on and play this role. Yes, Wes Ramsey.
And that was
Stalker. And so Stephanie Stalker hired by EJ.
Yes, and that's the part that I was trying to tell someone this week about that, because they couldn't remember this character.
Yeah.
And I was actually very in tune to watching, because that was kind of like the Philip, Stephanie, Melanie triangle time. And so I was really interested in that. Yeah. And so it didn't end up being that Owen was actually into Stephanie at the time. He was hired by EJ to kidnap Stephanie. The obsession came when they started spending time together while he was holding her captive, and she was trying to manipulate him into trusting her so that he could let her go. And that went sideways very fast.
Yeah. And this is the kidnapping where Stephanie ended up in the morgue. Like, she's mentioned that briefly.
Yes.
She's mentioned that a couple times over the years. So if people are trying to connect it, this is that storyline. I kind of like this. I like that. I wish it wasn't sort of spoiled in the preview. With him coming back, I feel like they could have kept that a little secret, and I think it would have been a little bit more of a surprise, because he was not on I didn't even think of him, even though now that we see it's him, it was like, oh, I should have reached back just a little bit further into her past but again, he wasn't a character that was on for so long, so I can understand if people completely forgot about him in this storyline. One of the things I am excited about is hopefully we're getting more of Stephanie EJ. I feel like we've come away from them a little bit. It still hasn't been revealed that he's actually the one who outed her to Leo. Yeah. I'm sure that's sort of in the back pocket. But just in general, I've always wanted these two characters to have a little bit more to do with each other. I want them to actually get into their past. I still think
they have a history.
They have a history. They're the two characters who knew each other before Salem. They are the only two characters. EJ, she is the only person EJ knew before he came to town as EJ Rose under the deception. Exactly. So I feel like they never fully really delved into that and never really fully got into that. And even sometimes their interactions where I'm just like, you guys have known each other the longest out of everyone on the show. Like, I feel like they don't dive into that as much as they should. My hope is that bringing this character back, and again, I don't think EJ has anything to do with it this time, but I think he might be included into this because of his original affiliation with this character. We'll see, but I'm hoping that he gets brought into the mix here.
Yeah, and you see again where the Dimeras are being brought up in this, and actually, I like this callback to history, to EJ's dastardly deeds better than I did the stuff with fake Rafe with Arnold. I could have done without that forever and ever and ever. Yeah. This I like more because it really calls back to EJ's history with Stephanie. It calls back to kind of like that spring summer of Dimeras, when like that was originally when Tony died. It was like Tony the Kyriakis. It was like the Kyriakis Dimera wars were going on, and Stephanie was. But through her association, which was Philip was brought into it. It was a pretty hectic time. And so this is a really nice callback. And again, done in an organic way where it was like the if this stalker is who we think he is, he didn't start out obsessing over Stephanie. He was manipulated into getting involved, and then he went off the rails.
And if you remember, he got away back then. He was never caught, so he was just always out there, kind of, I guess, waiting to come back. Yeah, and also that reminds me that you were bringing up all this. Did you notice the little the jab Philip took at Tony when Gabby was like, "Oh, when he came into the pub?" Just because we're talking about the Tony Philip war when they were sort of at each other. I think Gabby said something about who would kidnap Tony or who would want to hurt Tony, and then Philip gave a little like, "Oh, I could think of someone," or I forget what he actually said, but it was a little like jab at him. And then once he said that, immediately popped in my head. I was like, "Oh yeah, their history together and them hating each other and technically Philip killing Tony."
Yes. A little history lesson in that original storyline. Philip got in a fight with Tony, killed him. And then in retaliation, Stephanie, because she was Philip's fiance at the time, she was kidnapped, and Philip kind of found his way into the morgue with her. It was a lot going on at that time. So I get why a lot of people are kind of like, what the heck was going on? I wasn't watching at that time. We're here to tell you it's actually being very intricately done. And again, I'll take this over the Arnold stuff any day.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like this part of it, and it makes sense. We're getting Stephanie, hopefully EJ coming up. We get this other person who was obsessed with Stephanie coming back into the mix. And I thought it was interesting too, though. The person was in the chat and they were talking with other people. And I was like, wait, is this like, it just reminded, and oddly enough, it reminded me of, have you seen the new Batman? Well, the Robert Pattinson Batman movie? I won't spoil it, but there's something about the villain is tied to like, has a scene where he's in a chat room talking to other people, and you realize that his scope of people is bigger than you think. And it was, that sort of was weirded me out, the way he was casually talking about going after Stephanie, and they were like, I was like, are we supposed to glean like this is like a stalker site or something? Or are we supposed to glean that these are all like weird fans who don't know he's going that far? I was a little confused about that.
I mean, if we really dig deep into the fan chat sites, there can be some crazy stuff. I hope all of our fans are nice and sane.
I was like, is he on the dark web? Is that what they're showing us, or is he just on a weird?
It looked like
fan
a
site?
Regular fan site.
Yeah, I was confused.
People say things, people think like the anonymity of the internet that they can do it's scary out there.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna make her mine, and then someone was like, yeah, like they were just responding normally. So I was like, wait, what site is this supposed to be on? Yeah, that really like weirded me out for a second. I was like, are they like? And then I wasn't sure if they were trying to like say like this is the dark web and like Owen's on the dark web to like get pointers or something on how to like kidnap her or hurt her or something. I don't know. It was very macabre.
I mean, sometimes the comment sections of places are scary enough.
So yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it is gonna be a little bit of a wait, because while we kind of were spoiled about who this person might be, everybody else is on the Jeremy Horton train.
Yeah.
Which I get when Maggie had to ask.
I'm still on the fence about it.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, I guess she's asking for Alex and
that to me
for
was
Stephanie,
weird.
but I'm also like, well, Jeremy's also your nephew too. You know what I mean? It's like you're both of your nephews. I guess her idea is like she's caught in between, I guess. But I'm like, okay, you're I guess much more closer to well, I guess maybe not much more closer to Jeremy than Alex, but I guess you have more of a history, I guess, with Jeremy, we'll say. But
Yeah.
or maybe because of that, she asked, and that that also can give Maggie some credit here that Jeremy wasn't a great guy before, so maybe that's what she's going on, or I don't know.
I mean, you always have to start in any investigation. You have to start with the people So I'm sure that's the reason for Alex's jump to that conclusion, and I'm sure Steve is not that far behind, but I think bringing Steve into this investigation will help, because I think Steve as an actual PI will kind of be able to very quickly clear Jeremy, and that then hopefully maybe Jeremy can redeem himself and actually help in figuring out who this guy is.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I'm trying to think. Jeremy wasn't around with Owen, right? No, that was
no.
okay.
That was he predates Owen.
Yeah, I thought so. I just wanted to make sure they never crossed paths.
Yeah.
I actually I was fine with him getting angry at Maggie, and I also like this part, which is maybe weird to say. I like that they're allowing Jeremy to still have a bit of a temper, because he's very quick to anger when he feels like people are coming after him and or using his past against him, which is sometimes can be 50-50. Like, I understand you getting angry about it, but also like, you did do those things. This is your past. You might have to take a little shit for a little while, but I do like the fact that they're not trying to make him. He doesn't also need to be perfect. He just isn't the stalker. Do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't have to be the perfect guy. He doesn't even have to go from Jeremy the asshole 10 years ago to now he's the greatest, sweetest, most loving person. It doesn't have to be that. So I like that they're still giving him a little bit of an edge, and he's very quick. He does have a bit of a temper still, but he's also not, as we believe, not a stalker and not harm to anyone. So he doesn't have to be the perfect person to be innocent.
If anything, the way that is it Michael Rourke is his name? If if anything, the way that he is playing it, I think is very organic as well, because of what you just said, that it lends to the fact that just because he's grown as a person, just because he's taken the steps to better himself, doesn't mean that necessarily his core traits are gone.
Yeah.
You can be a quick to anger person and not be a bad person, i.e. Xander. He's very quick to anger, but he's not, we don't think that he is an all bad person. He has a lot of growing to do, a lot of therapy, a lot of work on himself that he needs to do, that Jeremy seems to have already done in the time that he was off canvas. But like that being said, he has to prove himself to the people that he's wrong, not to society at large. He has nothing to prove to the average stranger, or even necessarily to his family, but to the person that he originally wronged, to Stephanie. I don't think that it's going too far to say that he has work to do in redeeming himself in her eyes. At least in terms of, I'm not a person you need to be afraid of.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's, in terms of Maggie, it's sort of, she's bringing it to him. He didn't invite her to coffee to talk about Stephanie, or, they were just catching up and whatnot. So yeah, I I do agree when if he's asked about his past or if he's asked about how it relates to anything he's doing at the moment, I think that, yeah, there's some explanation there, and there's, maybe he needs to humble himself a little bit, but anything not having to do with that, like, he doesn't owe anyone an apology. He doesn't have to walk around with his head held down or walk on eggshells around people. Like, and I like that they're not going that direction with him. And he did also stick up for Chad, which I liked. He was honest with Maggie. He was like, I love my family, love everyone, but I don't get what Aunt Jennifer is doing. I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. And that's that. I like that he's not afraid to, he doesn't have to fall into the Horton fold either.
Exactly. I mean, and that to me makes sense as well, because he was primarily raised by his mother. Yeah. You can kind of see where, from his perspective, it would seem cruel to keep a father away from his children. It would seem cruel to keep children away from the only parent they have left. Yeah. Which I agree with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what Stephanie Stalker has in mind for the new year. Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm interested for how they're going to even cap off the end of the year. We still got a couple more weeks left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And guys, we have no tidbits. That was your week of Days of Our Lives. So we're going to kind of do a little something different for our last show, 2026. But before we get there, I want to remind everyone to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow us on all social media. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook, at Dishin Days on Instagram, and Dishin Days on Twitter and Threads. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. Please like our videos as well. If you get a chance, please make sure to join our exclusive members only page. If you haven't already, if you're not already a member, we are discussing 2026 plans as we speak. We also want to make sure that you follow us on all podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. If you can't catch us live, you can catch us there. This episode and all of our other episodes of the past. Please make sure to also follow Mr. James Black Jr. on JLJ Media on YouTube, where you're going to find the recaps for all other remaining soaps that are not Days of Our Lives, as well as James' thoughts on life in general. Please also continue to tell us your thoughts. We want to hear from you in the comments. We want to hear from you in our live chat. Don't be afraid to shout us out if you have any thoughts on the end of 2025 and in the new year as well. And to that end, as it is just Justin and I today, we want to kind of close out this year with our holiday-themed naughty and nice list. So we each have our opinions on who this year has been naughty and is getting a lump of coal in their stocking, and who has actually been very nice and deserves all the goodies from Santa.
Why don't you start? This was your idea to do something kind of fun and kitschy. So yeah, why don't you start?
Yes. So on my naughty list, who, if I could throw coal at them, I would be, for the same reason, Jennifer Devereaux and Amy Choi, because in my opinion, they have been the worst examples of mothers and grandmothers this past year, being completely manipulative, unforgiving, unmoving, not supportive. You name it, they've done it. And I just, like I said, I would throw coal at these two if I could. You, Jennifer Devereaux, and Amy Choi are on my naughty list for 2025. You get coal. On the opposite end, for my nice list, I want to shout out two characters who I think were the exact opposite in the way that they carried themselves this year. And that would be both Chad Dimera and Leo Stark. Chad, to me, has been through so much, so much in the last year. And I think the act of forgiving Kat, even before he became interested in her, I think the act of forgiveness is truly underrated. People say I'm sorry a lot of the time without really meaning it, or say that they forgive someone without really meaning it. But I think Chad is a character that just gives a lot of grace to people. Some who don't necessarily deserve it, but I think when he says he forgives someone and he lets go of his anger and animosity, he actually does it.
Yeah.
And so I think that Chad deserves definitely to not be in the crypt. Please don't let Chad spend Christmas in the crypt. He deserves to be with his kids for Christmas. And Leo is a character who I think showed a lot of growth this year, a lot of self-awareness. Sometimes I think Leo showed too much self-awareness and was also sometimes bringing himself down almost for the way he is. And I even did a thesis about it where I'm like, I basically counseled Leo to say, you don't need to apologize for who you are as long as you're constantly improving yourself. You're still you, the things that make you, that make you unique. The people who love you will love you for them. And, you just leave the rest. And obviously, with his relationship with Javi and his love of Tesoro, now baby Trey, huge growth on his part. I feel like this is a character that year after year does get consistently better and consistently more self-aware in a way that a lot of other people could stand to take a lesson from. So Chad Dimera, Leo Stark, you are on my nice list this year, and I hope that you have a very happy holidays with your loved ones.
Yeah. So for me, my naughty list, I have one of each. I am starting out with love her to death, love watching her on screen, played by a brilliant young actress in Alice Halsey, but it is Rachel Black. He has absolutely been naughty this year. This character and again, it's a testament to how much we like this actress and also like the previous actress too. I want to give her some credit too. And also just I think like the fact that we have like a quasi demon-y child. I think that excites us, and not all children are precious and amazing and great. And I think we like the fact that she falls in line of being a Dimera and specifically being Kristen's daughter. But putting that aside, she most certainly has been naughty between popping a fucking cap in her uncle and between almost killing Sarah. She'll get a couple bonus points for trying to stop her, but not quick enough. To the manipulation of Thomas this year. It's funny because I think maybe early on before the EJ storyline, I think we were questioning if, or at least I was questioning if not if Rachel was losing her edge, but if they were maybe going in a different direction with her. She seemed a little bit more tamer and calm. And I feel like they were just revving up to finally give us this storyline of all this stuff with her. So yeah, I think early on it was like, oh, maybe they're, having Rachel mature a little bit, or they're having her be a little bit nicer and calmer. And that I feel like that was the storm, the quiet before the storm, so to speak. So yes, my naughty list this year includes Miss Rachel Black, who, again, as naughty as she is just as entertaining to watch. And I think Alice Halsey has been doing such a beautiful job. Whatever happens with that character, we don't know. We know Alice has moved on to Little House on the Prairie, which we will see soon. Maybe there's an opportunity for her to come back at some point. I don't know what they're doing with the character, but we'll see. But hopefully the door is not shut on her. She's just been, I think she was the right choice to carry on this storyline and this sort of next chapter for Rachel. So yeah, as much as I'm praising her, she is on my naughty list for her actions this year. And for my nice list, this one actually, the person is Paulina Price Carver. The reason why I have been absolutely loving the way she has been written lately. And I think, again, it's Jack A. We love Jack A. She's so talented. But I think under Rob's writing, I think he very much leaned into the
Ron's writing. Yeah.
the Jack A of it all. I'll say the sassiness, the what she's known for, which again is great, and it worked, and we love Paulina. But I love the way the new writers are writing her. I think they've struck this really great balance between her being herself and her being sassy and still being, sort of an opposites attract wife to Abe. But I'm loving the stuff with Theo we got this year. I'm loving her being I think they're showing her this year being a very intelligent, rational, great sounding board for people. We've seen the advice she's given to Theo. We've seen her interactions with Jada. Even her interactions with Abe, even though they're on opposite sides of it. I think the way she's approached it, she hasn't been hysterical. She's not screaming. She's not yelling. She's simply saying, this is what I believe. I think I'm right. This is why I did it. Sorry it hurt you, and I don't think we would have gotten that version of Paulina under Rob's writing. And no offense to Rob, I think he was Ron. Sorry, I keep saying Rob. Sorry, under Rob's writing, I think he just wrote her as a different person, and we love that version. But I really have been really loving the way they've been writing Paulina. I think we're starting to see just a little bit of the other side of her. We're starting to see the rational, intelligent businesswoman that we've always been told that she is. And now I understand why this Paulina is the mayor.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I can definitely see this Paulina being the type of person who has a strong hand, but also is incredibly rational and intelligent. Even that conversation with Belle last week where she was sympathetic to Rachel, but she was also like, I'm also the mayor and I have to uphold a certain portion of the law. So, let's tread lightly with this. I'm not going to immediately sign off because I love you and I have a relationship with your mom. And, it was, I think she's striking a really great balance here. So yeah, on my next list this year is Paulina, for just the way we've seen her and how they've been using her lately. I think is just the perfect way to use someone like Jack A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we will see where these characters land in 2026. Maybe we'll get some growth, maybe not. But that does it for that's our recap of the last events of 2025. And now we're going to move on to our segments. We do not have Tony and Michael here, so we have neither a 3 snaps nor a caption that, but we do have
Those were the days.
And right here we go.
Those were the days.
Why is it looping? Oh, there we go. Okay, now I understand Michael's rotation when it loops.
Yeah.
Or it pops in after he shut it off. I'm like, I get it now. Yeah, we are starting this one. I'm taking you guys back to December 9th, 1993, when Tony and Kristen got married. This was a very interesting storyline. And after this, you can see my Those Are Days extended when I get into how these two, again, adopted siblings, and again, both are adopted. Tony is not Stefano's biological, and Kristen is not Stefano's biological. They are both adopted children coming together. I explain how this happened, even back then it was a little off. Not so crazy, but a little off and off-putting. And you're like, how are these two going to get together? I explain it and go watch the Those Are the Days extended video. But this is them getting married. It is later retconned, if you've been following the show, to now, this is now Kristen marrying Andre, which also makes sense in a way. So it gets rid of a little bit of the incestuous nature of that pairing, and it also, by sort of the retcon of Andre, it also clears up a lot of stuff and allows us to have the Tony Kristen brother and sister relationship, which is what they always had prior to this infamous storyline all the way back in 1993. So yes, that was December 9th, 1993, when Tony / Andre and Kristen married each other.
Yeah, that still to this day has me kind of like, huh? But that was, but that was,
Oops.
Those were the days.
they were what they were.
Yeah.
And next up, we have my segment.
It's a gift.
And tried to find a GIF that was worthy of the end of 2025. And Gwen and her expressions when she came back this year, I loved it because nobody does an expression quite like Gwen. And her getting trying to just tolerate EJ is me trying to tolerate a lot of people.
Absolutely loved it. Loved it. It was such a true to life little moment. I'm curious. I'd be curious to see if that was an ad lib, or I'm guessing it may have been.
I think a lot of things that Emily O'Brien does are ad libs, and it's another reason that she's just so dang brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah. So the last gift of the year goes to Miss Emily O'Brien as Gwen Rischek, and that was
It's a gift.
Yes. And now it's time for
News and gossip.
Okay, and we are starting with some birthday news here. First and foremost, we want to give a very, very happiest of birthdays to Mr. Dick Van Dyke, who celebrated his birthday actually yesterday, his 100th centennial birthday. 100 years, he is still with us. He is alive. He is kicking. He has all his faculties. He is still moving around. He is still going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. And just really great, just the fact that and a lot of times, not to be morbid, but I was like, oh, I hope he, it's one of those, I hope he makes it. I hope, he's still one of those just old school entertainers that just has it in you can't find a person to say a unkind word about this man. And I picked this photo just so I wanted to see Deidre, Drake and Dick here. So hopefully I really would like to see him back on the show. Honestly, I think there is for him, even if it's just a few scenes here and there. Listen, Brady and Belle could always use some grandfatherly advice. Marlena could use some advice, even if it's a quick conversation with him about John's death. We know his character is still alive. He lives somewhat nearby in his own condo. Yeah, as far as we know, the character is still with us. So yeah, hopefully we see Dick Van Dyke on the show soon. But just big happy birthday to Mr. Dick Van Dyke. It is a milestone for someone in this industry who is just beloved and just so deserving of praise, and just an all around amazing person. So yeah.
I mean, there's a reason that a lot of legacy actors and actresses are continuing to work into their 80s and 90s. And a lot of them will tell you it's to keep them, to kind of keep themselves alive. They keep their minds working, they keep their energy up. And, he said in multiple interviews, he's not done. No. He's still available for work. Let's get him working. Let's get him to 101, 102.
Yes, Days. Let's call Dick in, get him in for a few scenes with everyone. Yeah. And next up, also another one of our favorites, Miss Christy Clark, celebrated her birthday this week. So big happy birthday to her. Someone else who we love and we saw recently on the show and just always adore her coming back and mixing it up with Salem residents. And fingers crossed, we hopefully will see her soon. We'll see. I think she's, again, Carrie's always been just a beloved character. Christy's such a wonderful actress who, again, also someone who everyone loves and is always game to play with when she comes back to Salem. So, yeah, happiest of birthdays to Dick and Christy.
Yes. Next up, we want to let you know about things that are going on in the online world. First of all, if you've been paying attention to the Days Peacock Instagram, your favorites of Salem were tasked with defining their character in 10 seconds. You can check out the video on their social media to see if their descriptions matched how you see them. It's very interesting to hear their takes on it. Their Days social media has been very busy lately, so I'm sure there'll be no shortage of stuff to hold you over into the new year. And then finally, though this happened a couple of weeks ago, IRL, I believe it just aired. Or did it just air?
Yeah, it just aired this past week.
This
Yeah,
past
so I
week,
wasn't sure if they were going to rerun it, so I didn't want to.
Yes, the infamous Hollywood Christmas parade that happens every year. And this year, Salem besties Deidre Hall and Greg Rickard participated, and they were in the same car with Greg's son Monty along for the ride. And oh my gosh, he's getting so big.
So cute. I know. It's so, yeah.
I remember Greg showing me his picture at my first day of days, and
Yes,
like
I did too. Yes,
I remember that. And I was just like,
yeah.
oh my god, his eyes, and oh my gosh, he's growing up so much. And
I
I'm
know
just
that was 4
and
years. Was it 4 years ago?
yeah, and like he's grown so much,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, oh, gosh, time goes by so
He's
fast.
so big now. It's so funny too, because when I came across this, I was like, is that Monty? Because they're very, him and Robert, Greg's husband, are very cautious, which thankfully about showing his face. So I think they wanted to wait till he was a little bit older to show his face, and it seems like this was a great opportunity to have him ride in the car with them and kind of expose him in this way. But yeah, he's gotten so big. But yeah, I do. It's so funny you said that, because I remember talking with Greg, and then he like pulled out the pictures and was like, I got these great pictures, and I was like, sure, let me see.
Yes, and then of course, you know, that how can you doubt that Deidre and Greg are besties when they're literally matching?
I know they came. I'm not surprised that they coordinated this, of course, in the dressing room. I'm sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
And next up, friend to the show, Miss Kennedy Garcia's new movie coming out. She has a new movie coming out. It's called Saving Buddy Charles. It premieres on Tubi this Tuesday, December 16th. I'm not sure exactly what the plot of the movie is. Tagline alone should get you interested.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you have Tubi, if you have a subscription, please support Miss Kennedy Garcia's new work. Even the cute little clip of her in the trailer, I could tell that she had fun with the role.
Yeah. She's wherever Kenny does, she's definitely gonna have some fun and mix it up.
Yeah. Next up, two of your Salem favorites are now on Cameo. If you want to hear from Brian Dittel or Colton Little and are looking for a fan message, if you're looking for something for yourselves, or maybe looking to send someone that you love, a fan of theirs, something special for the holiday season, please go on their Cameo and get a message from them. Brian is currently running a 24-hour holiday special, so go and take advantage of that right now. Yeah, Cameo is such a fun idea, actually, for a holiday gift for someone. It's really, it's kind of like, it can be like the less expensive option and a really fun way to surprise the people in your life.
No, totally. And Brian, I was reading the comments. I haven't seen one of Brian's, but I hear he does some really good ones. If you've ever been around Brian, you know he is the life of the party and very funny. So I am sure he has got some interesting cameo requests that he probably obliges, or he puts his spin on some very easy cameo requests that makes them very, very, very entertaining. So definitely go check it out. I'm sure it'll be a riot either way. Then last but not least, we have a new event coming up. This one is going to be the celebrity softball game. It's actually coming back. If you guys remember when they used to do this a little bit more back in the day between a bunch of different soaps, and just to kind of everyone come together and play a celebrity game. But this is also, it's a celebrity softball game and also a celebration of Stacey Hyduke's birthday dinner and party that will take place April 25th, 2026. Excuse me. I even put 2025 there. What God? Here in LA. So if you're going to be in LA next year or want to come in for this might be something fun to kind of come in and do. The full list of participants here, including a few from Growing Pains, Different Strokes. We see our own Tony Moore will be hosting. You can choose to attend one or both events. And last time there were about 25 slots left. So people, if you are interested, please go and check out. You can go to eventbrite.ca and then you just search Star Image Entertainment and it'll come up there. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it's a whole weekend of events. So like it's like a jam-packed one day, but like if you're out of town, you can come in for like the whole weekend. It'll be, you know, it's like multiple different things going on. So it's nice. it's
Yeah.
coming in for like a big event like this is nice.
And both will be fun. I mean, the softball game, amazing, and then also Stacy's party. We know Stacy; she is a party girl. She loves to party. She loves to dance, and a celebration of her birthday is definitely going to be a fun and good time. So yeah. And then last but not least, we are always asking for you guys to send in photos when you go to these fan events, since we mention them and we talk about them, and we want to know what it's like, what you guys are doing. So we have our photo of our own, because Mr. Tony Moore is not here today. He actually was in Atlanta for work, and while he was there, he decided to stop by and attend the Starstruck event that is happening this week in Atlanta here. Here you can see him with Eric Martzoff, and that's Marcy Miller close to him, Matt Ashford, Emily O'Brien, Mike Manning, and Peter Porte there. So yes, I'm sure Tony will have a lot more photos. But yeah, he sent this one to us when they all gathered around and took this. So yeah, he is having a ball in the midst of working and traveling and stuff. So yeah.
Yes, if you're wondering why Tony's not here, he was over there.
Yeah, if you're also there, please send us some photos of your time there. Let us know how it was, and it's always, we always want to sort of share that information for people who haven't gone to these things or don't know what they're like. It's like, we sort of rely on people to let us know, and if they're worth it and how much they were and who was there and what you got to see. So yeah, kind of share that. Feel free to share that information with us in the new year. So yeah.
And that was
News and gossip.
that wraps up 2025 for us. Before we head out, we're going to give you the last teaser of 2025. So let's take a look at what's happening this coming week on Days of Our Lives.
Next week on Days of Our
FBI,
Lives.
open up!
So, what are they?
Actually, I live here.
We need to get out of here. Now.
What the?
Another
Is there-
Dimera added.
Is there heavenly peace coming
Right.
to Salem? Or I don't know. We'll see. So that wraps up 2025.
Yeah.
Dishin Days.
There was a week.
Yeah.
I hope you guys, for those of you who stuck with us all year and participated or found us 2 weeks ago, and everyone who joined our membership, thank you so much for tuning in and watching and being silly with us and getting in the chat, and thank you for seeing when we see some of you at the events, and everyone's always been so warm and welcoming. And one of our main goals, I can say, next year is to really sort of grow our channel and grow our social media. So we're looking for help with just spreading the word. If you have other Days of Our Lives fans who you talk about, feel free to let them know of our podcast. Feel free to send them a link to let them kind of know what they'd be in store for. We're just trying to get a little bit more exposure for next year. And of course, thanks to all of you for kind of sticking with us and being loyal fans, whether, again, you were here for the first episode or just tuned in a couple weeks ago. We appreciate the support and the feedback and coming in, just being silly and hanging with us. And so, yeah, as we cap off another year, next February is 11 years of Dishin Days. So.
Yeah. This past year was it feels like such a whirlwind for us. We were doing so many events for the 60th. We were doing so many events for our 10th. Justin and I celebrated 5 years.
Yeah.
We kind of forgot that we had a 5-year anniversary coming up. Yeah. So it's been a whirlwind in terms of Dishin Days. So thank you for those of us who tuned in, who continue to support. Please, as Justin said, spread the word, spread the love. We will be back January 11th.
11th.
Yes.
Yep. That's when we'll be back.
Sunday, January 11th. So we will be taking the holidays off. We will see you in 2026.
Yes, but please continue to interact with us on social media. I'm not gonna make any promises, but we may or may not pop up there at some point. It is a long time between, if some really interesting things on days happen, maybe we'll pop in for a quick chat or a live or something like that. We'll see, but yeah,
Yes.
stay tuned and follow us on our
Thank you to Dylan Matthews for always coming through with my gifts.
Thank you, Dylan. Yeah.
Including the one of Michael, which I'm gonna probably share soonish because that just made my year.
Yeah.
Yes. Before we head out, I want to take this one last opportunity to remind everyone to please follow all of us on social media. You can follow Michael on Instagram and Twitter at MLMattis and MLImagesLA. You can follow Mr. Justin Hareld.
Follow me, Justin Lee Hareld.
Just on Instagram.
Yes.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, if it still continues to exist in 2026, at Tia323 Araceli. You can follow Mr. Tony Moore everywhere at Loungin' with Tony, and you can follow us on our social medias at Dishin Days Show on Facebook, at Dishin Days on Instagram, and Dishin Days on Twitter and Threads. You can find us on our YouTube channel, on our podcasts. Please make sure to continue to join us in the new year. And guys, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. I hope everyone stays safe and warm. Have a blessed first night of Hanukkah for those who celebrate. I know it's been a rough 24 hours, especially for my Australian friends, for my friends on the East Coast. But we're with you. We're with you in spirit. We love this community that we have built, and we hope to see you in 2026.
Yeah. Happy holidays, everyone. Bye. Yes. See you guys next year.
Next year.